Hi, welcome to Well-Traveled Life with Jonathan and Jennifer. Our video today is about a stop we made in Inverness, Scotland. And while we're not in Scotland, we're in Texas.
But we are having Scottish weather.
We're having very Scottish weather.
We visited a really unique Airbnb that had a really unique Airbnb experience to go along with it. We stayed with Karin, who lives in a neighborhood right in Inverness. And we enjoyed not only the home that we stayed in, it was 2 bedrooms, we had a shared bathroom, we had our own living room space and access to the garden, but we also had a really, really fabulous local food experience.
And we were also traveling with our good friend Tammy.
And Tammy had a good food experience.
But maybe not as good as ours. Because let's just say that several things on the menu were not her favorites, but Tammy is a trooper.
Absolutely.
And she tried everything. So I know last year when we were in Scotland, you had actually wanted to go.
I had seen this as an Airbnb experience and I tried to book it, but we weren't in town during the times that we could do it. But I was really intrigued because this woman is offering a local food experience in her home. She makes a tremendous meal using slow food principles and then serves it at her table, and you get to enjoy a meal with a local fabulous conversation and learning about slow food.
First of all, one of my favorite stops. It is the beginning of North Coast 500, and this particular stop and location, I don't know that I had high expectations, but the stop totally blew me away. And my secret about this video, I have to be honest, I had a real man crush on Karin, and after dinner we had a chance to talk quite a bit, and I asked Jennifer and Tammy, I said, gosh, I just found it so interesting to talk to Karin, and she just opened me up and connected with me, and I couldn't quite figure out why. But I mean, I think what we came up with and agreed is that she shared a lot of interest with me. She certainly knew her history, and we spent a lot of time talking about history, the history of Scotland, and because of the last name Graham, I have a real fondness for Scotland. So we talked a lot about that, but food, I love food, and she was that. And I'm not going to try to go into any detail about the concept of slow food, because I think Karin does it so well in the video, but I did find that really interesting, and I love the food, and I would drive a long way the next time we're in Scotland just to have a dinner with her, and obviously I would like to stay there as well. And I hope that when we go back that we have a chance to not only do that, have dinner with her and stay there, but probably use her as a local guide and get her to go out with us, because we had plans for that area and we knew kind of where we were going, but in our dinner conversation with her, she suggested a number of places that we either added to our trip or agreed, I think, that we would go back because we just ran out of time, couldn't do everything, and we would go there next time and enjoy some of that. So great stop, great find, Jennifer.
It really was special, and it was really fun. At one point we had to take a break after dinner before the dessert. We were so full, and so Tammy and I did dishes, and Jonathan and Karin sat at the table and talked genealogy and history and Scottish clan wars, and it was just really fun to watch these two connect and to see Jonathan become so engaged with our host and the country that we were in. It was terrific.
Yeah, I think as you're listening to her voice on this video, there's going to be something familiar about it. It's not a typical Scottish accent by any means, although that element is there. But I think if you listen for a while and you think, gosh, I know that voice or it sounds familiar, I want you to think about the actress Isabel Rossellini, and that's her voice and her accent. And if you think about her, you know, she lived part of her life in England. Her father, Rossellini, is an Italian film director. Karin spends a lot of time in Italy. Her ex-husband, I believe, is Italian. Her kids spend a lot of time there. So her wonderful accent is a mixture of Scottish, I think some English as well, because I think she's got a connection there, and certainly Italian. And I totally hear Isabel Rossellini, which is good company to be in. So that works for me.
So this is the Cleikum Social Eating Club, and it dates back to the novel by Sir Walter Scott called St. Ronan's Well, where there was a hostess at the Cleikum Club called Meg Dodds, who was a bit of a tartar as a hostess. But because she offered a really good table, good wine, people made their way down from Edinburgh to have dinner and eat and drink into the night. And that's what I'm doing here. Slow food began in Italy, founded by Carlo Petrini at the end of the 1980s. The purpose of slow food is essentially good, clean, fair food for everybody, but it's also a source of knowledge and also entertainment for members who go out eating regularly and visiting places where food is produced, grown, reared, etc. We're aware of what we're eating, and I have been a hostess with Slow Food now for 3 years, and I love it.
After getting settled in and freshening up, our meal began with a bottle of sparkling wine and the beginning of an amazing meal. Slow food is all about the local and traditional foods that are made to be savored. It's a reaction against the mass production of the fast food industry, and the slow food movement promotes healthy, locally sourced food and regional traditions to combat the mindless and hurried consumption of food in the modern day. And in keeping with slow principles, even our dishes were locally made in Scotland and featured a Scottish pattern.
The starter is a dish made of chanterelle mushrooms that I foraged myself.
Where are you foraging around
You see, that's a very secret. Usually people tend to, when to clam up, when somebody asks that.
We just drove through the forests getting here.
Yes.
Is that the area you're in?
No, I go up to where the water from Inverness comes from. In fact, it was my butcher who told me, without being prompted or anything.
Oh.
And it's not often that a person actually
Gives that
this
information
kind of
away.
information away.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I don't like mushrooms. So, it's good for having an excursion, and when you see these little sort of like ochre-coloured plants, you think,
Yes, yes. It's the good stuff.
yes, it's like striking gold. We'll have these this evening on soda bread.
I always think of soda bread being Irish, but
Yes.
Scottish as
But
well.
we do too.
Mushrooms may be the one food that Tammy just can't stand, but she tried them and we were grateful for her leftovers. The next dish may also have been a little bit of a challenge for Tammy, but might have been my favorite. It involved a meatball with potatoes and haggis. Haggis is a sheep sausage which is heavily peppered. It has a bad reputation only because no one ever wants to know what's really in sausage.
Beef, followed by lardons, chopped onions.
Lardons?
Lardons of bacon with a little cube, garlic, tomato puree, and 1 bottle of good red wine. It can't be an indifferent red wine. It's got to be a.
It's got to be proud.
Yes. Let it cook for 6 hours. You can turn the meat every 2. Let's say, check the seasoning.
Karin served this with potatoes, and this was just a rich, deeply satisfying meal. Throughout the meal, we had time for storytelling and information sharing. We learned about the places to visit locally as well as things to do. And Genealogy has always been interesting for Jonathan. We found out about the archives that are in Inverness and how many tourists come to find out about their history.
Said that her family was from Essex, which is, you could walk there practically in 10 minutes. We went to Shortbread and in Essex and Banachton, and the farm that her family had worked on is still a working farm.
Oh, wow. It was fun for us to hear how one guest's foray into genealogy led Karin into foraging for mushrooms.
Could we go out for a walk now? By all means. So we were walking, and that's when I saw them, and I thought, what?
Wow!
And so I was cooking like that, and so I'm listening, and we're chatting.
But your eyes were wandering.
like that to see what's what. Yeah. So once we finished the walk, and once I'd accompanied her to her next destination, I drove all the way back. You went running back. in case somebody in the meantime had sneaked in.
And here it is at the dinner table. You discover what slow food is.
About local and seasonal, and I think that is so important.
I agree.
Well, it's a source of entertainment. Mm-hmm. You make new friends through it, but it also makes you more conscious of our environment and what we eat, and how important it is to eat seasonally and locally. Mm-hmm. Because it's absurd. Like just now, we have got excellent strawberries and raspberries, and the most important dessert in Scotland is cranachan, which is made of fresh raspberries. And they offer this as the dessert at the Burn Supper in January. Where do you get fresh raspberries in January in Scotland? You just don't. So they'll come from Mexico. Sure. And you think, but that's stupid. It's not going to taste as good as it does when you make it during the summer months, when the berries are excellent. So it would be better to go back in time and make something like a clootie dumpling. Yeah. Like a winter dish. Yes. A winter dish. That's what we should do. Yeah. I'll just check the.
You know, in the United States, we always talk about fast food. Mm.
It's slow also in the sense that it's not fast food. It's not like grabbing a burger or a sandwich, or God forbid what they're doing now. And I'm heartbroken about this. There's a company in this country called Greggs. They do food like hot pies, sausage rolls, and things like that. They, unlike a lot of companies, have seen a massive increase in their turnover, because they're so short of money that and so unused to eating as a family, that when they finish work and going home, they'll grab a pie from Greggs, eat it in the last part of their journey, and that's dinner. Yeah. And I think that's heartbreaking from so many points of view.
So part of it is just mindful eating, taking your time, appreciating the food.
Yes. So cooking it, eating it. So again, not rushing. It's not like they impose a sitting on you, like a 90-minute sitting or a 2-hour sitting, as you're come on, and then chivvy you out because they've got to set up the table for the next. Yeah. People in Italy still eat at the table. And I have 2 sitting rooms here. In Italy, I don't even have one, because when people come round to your house for dinner, they spend so much time at the table that it's not that you say, well, let's go through to the lounge and have a cup of coffee now. No, because you have everything at the table, and then your friends go home from there. So really, I suppose it's more important to have a dining room than a sitting room.
Yeah, I know when first few times I went to France and stayed with families and friends, I was just amazed how long the dinners last and the conversations and.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's definitely true. Definitely.
I think the conversation, the camaraderie, it's part of the meal. Yes. Good food gives you that reason to stay and keep at it. And
in many ways I can understand how it happened, but the life of the big houses, the mansions throughout the country, they just, the beginning of the end for them was the First World War. So death duties, you could lose 2 generations during the conflict.
Yeah.
Then when the men and women who did return didn't want to return to service and wanted to work.
Yeah.
And places like that need so much care and attention. My passion is for the Rosoch estate, and I've got the book in my bookcase there. I mean, the gardeners they had just to run that. Who could pay a gardening bill like that today?
No, but if it came with a village that, you know, all of your workers lived in your village, then that was manageable because they had a job, they had a home, they had a village.
Yes.
Are you a Downton Abbey fan?
Yes, I am. Yes.
I am too.
My daughter's re-watching it for the series right from the very beginning, and my sister actually took her to Downton Abbey.
Oh wow!
To visit it.
Yeah.
So she's quite keen on that.
So the room that I'm staying in, is it your son's or your grandson?
That was my son's bedroom.
It was your son's bedroom.
My son's bedroom. So I call it the transport room because obviously the blinds
Trucks
were there were for him. But then I added other details, and it's still like the feature is transport and movement.
Of course, yes, I love it. I love the rocket.
So if you think of these poor souls who are coming home from work and eating a pie from Greg's, walking the last part of their journey, and that's dinner, okay, you don't eat out every evening, but how sad that even one of these nights is a night dedicated to a Greg's pie. And I fear that in most cases every night is that. Also the food poverty, how little money is in people's pockets now. That's because a lot of us families have to make recourse to food banks. Those who are working and earning a salary can only have a pie, so it doesn't say very much for the future of the country, and also children who are growing up if that's what they're forced to eat.
Amazing.
Isn't it?
Karin's home as an Airbnb experience was terrific. While Jonathan and Karin discuss genealogy and history, let me give you a quick tour. You enter your own private entryway into a library and living space. You have doors to the outdoor garden. Of course, Karin has an outdoor garden. That's what she cooks from. And then we had 2 bedrooms. One was her son's, which is where Tammy stayed, and then the other was the room where we stayed. There is a bathroom between the 2 rooms that we shared, and then there's a hallway that leads into the main dining room and kitchen area. We stayed out of Karin's area, which included the dining room and the kitchen, unless we were there for a meal. That was sort of a way for us to respect her privacy, and we knew that she was also respecting ours.
There was a film. These people were so hungry. They get food from the food bank. They often don't even have electricity or gas at home to cook because they're really. So they'll open a tin of beans and just start eating it like that. I mean, you think how far down do you have to go? You can't even have a hot tin of beans on toast because you don't have the electricity to cook
even
it.
when men were living in caves, they were cooking their food around a fire and
Yes.
talking about the hunt. They had more identification with their meals than we do now.
Yes. So what tipsy means?
Tipsy drunk?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But drunk in a happy, nice way. A laird is a lord. So a happily drunken lord.
Okay.
So others might call this trifle.
I like Tipsy Laird.
So you have all of the elements of it. You've got the Madeira cake, the strawberry jam, the liqueur, the custard, the cream.
Oh, I'm so happy.
I'm a little bit full right now.
You absolutely don't have to jump into it because
We could clean the table.
We can clear the table and do
Exactly.
dishes. Because we were guests of Karin's overnight, we also got to enjoy a slow food breakfast the next morning. These were our options. I opted for a bit of everything. I got the porridge and a smoothie. I asked for the avocado toast, but I couldn't fit it in after I had had the stuffed portobello mushrooms and poached egg. Jonathan enjoyed the savory land, which was probably his favorite Scottish traditional breakfast during the entire months that we were in the UK.
I've been a member of Slow Food for over 30 years now, and I don't ever envisage cancelling my membership, ever. I look forward to going back to taking part in events as well.
Sláinte!
Karin, when you watch this, thank you so much for a wonderful experience.
So join us in our next video where we will be exploring a little bit around Inverness and beginning that North Coast 500. We're going to do a complete day of history. We're going to get to the Cairns, the Culloden battlefield, and we're going to get to Cotter Castle as well.
Yeah, that battlefield, I mean, we may have ended up going there, but that was certainly a recommendation that Karin made to us. And I frankly didn't know much about that. I had heard the name and Bonnie Prince Charles, but that was something she pointed us to. And that was great stuff.
It's a great stop. Thank you. Thanks to Karin. We loved our stay with you and we hope we meet again. Is my husband picking up our host?
So when will you come to Texas?
I don't know.
Because you would have a place to stay. It would be very inexpensive. You just don't want to come in the summer.
No
It's
summer.
too hot.
The battlefield. What's the name of the battlefield?
Culloden?
We're going to get to the Cairns. We're going to get to the Cairns. We're going to get to the Cairns.